Okay, well, welcome everybody to Camera Club, Menomonee Falls Camera Club, for the first meeting of the season. Um, I'm going to be getting this meeting started, and then we'll be turning it over to Linnea, our new president. But we're going to start first with having Hazel put on her program so that she doesn't have to be up till the all hours of the morning. So, Hazel Meredith is an award winning photographer, educator, speaker, and competition judge who has been teaching since 2007.
What?
Is the meeting in your ears?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
in Bluetooth.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody please mute yourself.
So is it coming up?
It's there.
Okay.
Somebody's not muted. Please mute your
All set.
microphone.
It's going.
She conducts seminars, workshops, and webinars across the U.S., both in person and virtually, and has written 2 ebooks and released 2 creative courses on photography. Hazel, along with her husband Dave, produces the Virtual Creative Photography Conference, attracting a global audience. She is deeply involved in the photographic community, holding leadership roles and receiving honors, including the Ashbrook Award for Digital Image Instruction from the Photographic Society of America. Getting too late in the evening to read that group. Good old PSA, as I should say.
I hear Jeff Klug, I think.
What?
I hear Jeff Klug, I think.
Yeah, I don't know who's.
So you have to go back to your email, right?
I think they're streaming through YouTube.
Yeah, I found one that was unmuted and I got them muted. So Hazel's going to talk on Smart Photo Editor.
Yes.
Nice little program that's really going to be interesting for everybody to see. And let me turn it over to you, Hazel. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Hi, everybody. Good to see you all again. I'm going to start sharing my screen and start with, I'm just going to put up one slide with some info on Smart Photo Editor, then we're going to get into demonstrating the program. This is a great little, I call it a little program because it's inexpensive, but it has a lot of capabilities. I learned about this, gosh, probably at least 10 or 12 years ago from Mike Moats, who many of you know as popular macro photographer. He was teaching at a conference I was teaching at, and I saw his program, and he almost exclusively uses this. He's not a Photoshop guy, and this is what he uses to edit his photos. So just really quickly, Smart Photo Editor is made by a company called Anthropics. I will send this info when we're done to Jeffrey so he can send it out and you guys have the link here. This is my affiliate link. I appreciate if you do use it. They do have a free trial available. The program as a standalone, which would not be a plugin to Photoshop, is $29.95. The plugin version is $49.95, and you're going to see why I like it so much as a plugin. And they do have an upgrade if you have, like originally I had purchased the standalone because they didn't have it as a plugin when I first got it. And then they have an upgrade available to $24.95. And these are all, quote, half price on their website, and it's always this price. So it never goes to any higher price, and it's been this price for many years. They haven't changed that. They do update it regularly, which is a good thing. So let's close that, and I'm going to open up my Photoshop. All right, so we're just going to jump in, and I'm going to show you all of the capabilities of the program. I'm going to go ahead and turn my video off because I'd rather you watch what I'm doing than me while I'm teaching. Please do feel free to ask questions. If you have a question, you can unmute yourself and ask it, or if you want to type it into the chat box, I do have the chat box open on my other screen. Either way, but please do ask questions. I appreciate that. All right, so I'm going to open up my first image here. And this is an old gas station, about 10-15 minutes from my house. One place that I like to photograph. I do a lot of old barns and buildings on our workshops around the area. We're in Northeast Tennessee now. I lived in Connecticut all my life till almost 5 years ago. End of October will be 5 years. We've been here in Northeast Tennessee and we love it. Okay, so this photo I've done nothing to. This is actually a cell phone shot, and all I did was resize it, but I've done no editing to this. So for Smart Photo Editor, it does not make its own layer. So I always duplicate my background layer, and I do it with a Control J, Command J on a Mac, or one of the like 3 other ways that you could duplicate a layer. And then we're going to go ahead and launch the program. So it's under your filter menu, Anthropics, Smart Photo Editor. And it usually opens up kind of small if you want to fill the screen. If you go to this pan zoom command, just hover over it and then come down to fit, and it will make your image full screen. So the first thing I want to do is get rid of this sign here in the middle, this rusty sign. I'm going to leave the poll, but I just want to get rid of that sign. So on the right-hand side are all of the different things we can do. The thing I use in here most is the effects gallery, which we'll get to. But you can do area treatments, you can do full image treatment, you can composite, you can erase, which is like the healing brush, red eye fixing, there's a text tool, you can crop, you can straighten, and you can rotate. And there you can create your own effects, which I haven't tried to do yet, but almost all of the effects that are in the effects gallery are created by users, so it's constantly getting new effects in there, but we'll show you that in just a moment. So first we're going to try the erase tool. And again, this is going to work. It works kind of like cloning in Lightroom. So we're on the erase brush. I'm going to, you can't, the bracket keys don't work to change the brush size, so you kind of have to look and see what it looks like and then use the slider, but this should be pretty good here. And so I'm going to kind of come down this side here, make sure I cover that edge, and then it's going to select the area it thinks should go there, but that doesn't work because I don't want that roof showing there. So I'm just going to put my cursor within that circle. So it's the, the move tool, and I'm going to move it down, and I'm going to try and get it to line up with the boards that are already there. And that should do pretty well. And now I want to do the other side of the pole a little bit. So I don't want to just click there because then it's going to change this. So if I just click off onto another tool and then go back to the erase tool, it will, accept that one. And then I can come back in here and just do a little bit more cloning right along the edge here. And again, I'm going to move that area and I'm going to clone from this side. And I'm just trying to line up those boards as best I can. Like that. And there we have it. That should do pretty well. And then we're going to do some general editing, because again, I haven't done anything to this photo. So we're going to go to image treatment, which will be overall editing, just like you would do in any other program. And we're going to start here with levels. So the exposure, I'm going to brighten just a little bit. Come on. My mouse is going to be difficult now. To 0.06, about there. Brightness. And if you hover here, it will tell you what each function does. 0.315. And I'm going to go to highlights. I'm going to bring those all the way to -100, or yeah, pretty close. Probably not quite down. There you go, -1. And then the lights, I'm going to bring down just a little bit. And then the darks, I'm going to bring up just a little bit. And the shadows up a little bit. And the blacks, I'm going to give just a little bit more black in here. Okay, then we're going to go down to contrast. And we're going to add a little bit of contrast. So we know most images need that. Then we're going to do some clarity, crisp it up a bit. And then I'm going to come down into colors and I'm going to add a little bit of vibrance and a little bit of saturation. And then I'm going to, there are some other sliders. If you hit more sliders, there are more options in some of these, but that's all I really need for right now. And we can bring this slider down. And you can see this is where you can adjust each color if you want to do, you know, vibrance, brightness, or contrast or hue to each of the individual colors. Those are all down here hidden. So now I'm going to do a little bit of cropping. Let's go to the crop tool. And I'm going to come down. Yes, go away here. I'm going to crop down a little bit at the top, a little bit at the right, and a little bit at the bottom. Just a little bit. And we'll say apply. If you want to keep to a certain aspect ratio, you can, or the original one, you can check the box, or you can put in the ratios that you want. And this circle that you see popping up is if I, for some reason, wanted to rotate this image, you could do that with that. And we'll say apply. And then I'm going to go back to Photoshop because I want to adjust the perspective just a little. And this does not have a perspective adjustment. So to go back to Photoshop, we're going to do File, Save and Return. And that will take us back to our Photoshop. And I'm going to do Edit, Transform, and Skew. And I want to straighten those sides just a little bit. So I'm going to bring this out a little and this side out. Making sure I keep that point pretty straight. We'll say okay. So now you can either duplicate this layer again, which is what I usually do, or you can keep going on this layer, but I'm going to go ahead and duplicate it with another Control-J. And then we're going to go back to our Smart Photo Editor. And I could have done that skewing first and not have to come back here, but I noticed it after I was cropping and I'm like, yeah, I think we need to do that. All right, so in here, now is the fun part. We're going to use the effects gallery. So we're going to click on the effects gallery. And this is going to open a whole bunch of selections over here on the left. And this is so you can narrow down your choices a bit. Because up here you can see this is page 1 of 694.
Wow.
And it would take a very long time to scroll through these. Let's see, 694 times 12 is 8,328 different presets that are in here. So I usually, have some idea of what I want to do with an image. Do I want to go grungy? Do I want to go painterly? That kind of thing. And you can see there are different categories. If you're looking to, control lighting, you can do this. Controlling color, you can also do black and white here. Detail, if you want to do more of that. Artist effects is probably what I use most often. Between artist and style. So under artist, I like the watercolor category, sometimes mixed media. Style is where you can do very graphic, you can do antique, comic, grunge, retro, Gothic horror
Mhm.
film. And some of these you can see don't really have a lot in there because it's only got a very small check, one little bar. But I tend to use like the antique and the grunge a lot. And for this particular one, I'm actually going to use, let's see, we're going to go into category. I'm going to go up here to realistic, which I don't use that often, but I decided to check out for this. And so we're using realistic, and then we're going to go to detail and select contrast. Now, when I, set up this particular project, I scrolled through to find the one I wanted, but there are 19 pages. So if you know what you've used, like in this case, I've written it down so that I can replicate this. Up here in this little gray bar, you can type the name of an effect, and you can also favorite effects. So if there's one that you really like that you use all the time, you can favorite them, and I'm trying to remember where to do that because I haven't done that in a long time. Because I do have some favorites over here, as you can see. It'll also tell you recently applied ones if you just use something and you want to go back to it. Let's see. I think I have to select it first. So let's find the one that I want. It's going to be exterior by Alex McCall. And sometimes they pop right up and sometimes they don't. Okay, and he's got a bunch here. So let's see if I can find it. Sometimes they come up right away and sometimes it's harder to find for some reason. So I'm going to go back to the pages because I do write down the page it was on and hopefully it didn't move. So I was going into realistic and detail and contrast. Okay, so let's go to page 6 and hopefully I can find it. And no. So what happens is the reason it's not on this page right now is because every time you close this program for the first time that day, and you'll see that when I close this, well, maybe not because it didn't do it already. You will get a pop-up and it will update all of the effects. It takes maybe
Oh, okay.
30, 45 seconds to update it. So it's constantly adding new things and they're not necessarily always in the same area, but here's the one I wanted, Exterior by Alex McCall. I don't know why. Sometimes, like I said, it pops up right away and sometimes they're a little bit tricky. But that's the one I want to use. And I'm not going to make any other changes. This just gave it a nice pop. So once you select something like that, you have to hit OK. And now you can, the changes that you can make to an effect vary depending on how the effect was created and how that maker, made it be. So we're going to, that's okay there. So we've applied that. And now we can add another effect. So I'm going to go back to the gallery. And we're going to go into the style and go to retro. And the one that I want, let's see if this one pops up. It's beauty and softness. And there it is by Tony. No, I want this one by Texan. Yep, that's one. So sometimes there is more than one with the same name. And some people use the same name and then have a number after it. So there could be 20 with the same name.
Jeez.
Yeah, I know. It gets a little crazy sometimes. There's so many of them. So the only thing I want to do here, I need to, because I type this in, I just have to click this to select it. So now I get my controls over here. And then I'm going to adjust the master fade down to about there. I just want to bring it down a little bit so it's not quite as powerful and say, okay. And you can always adjust it again once you're over here, you get kind of two chances to make adjustments. So I might bring that back just to here and then file, save and return. So like I said, when you come in here for the first time of the day, which I must have used this morning, you'll get a pop-up and you'll see a green bar that will update it, but it only does it once a day. So with this, it was kind of a fairly easy way to kind of go from our original, wrong one, kind of plain, ordinary type of a shot and give it a little bit more punch. And this one warmed it up a little, which I liked.
Yeah, brought out nice details too.
Yeah, it brought
with
out a
the
lot more of that
contrast does that.
grunge and the wood, which I
Yeah.
like to do on old buildings like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. Any questions from anybody?
Oops, it's quiet so far from what
Yeah,
I can
I know
see.
some groups are quieter than others.
I do have one question for you.
Sure.
I noticed that you did some of the object removals in this program rather than in Photoshop. Is there any reason for doing it in one place or the other?
No, I did it in Smart Photo Editor just so I can show you what the program is capable of. I probably would do that more often in Photoshop because I think Photoshop, especially with the new generative AI, would do a better job. But some people are kind of trying to get away from Photoshop, I know, who don't want to do the subscription. So this is a good kind of an alternate program that can do most of what Photoshop can do. Like I said, it couldn't do the skewing, but it could do, the cropping and some other adjustments. So yeah, a lot of what I'm showing you tonight, even the basic adjustments, I would probably do in the camera raw filter. And like I said, I use Smart Photo Editor mostly for the effects generally, but tonight I'm showing you a little bit of everything it can do, just so you can see what the capabilities are.
Great, thank you.
Sure. So we're going to go ahead and close that one. So this one took a little more finagling. This one, what I wanted to, this was also a cell phone image, and all I did was resize it. So this one, I want to bring out the green in the bottles a little bit more, especially these lighter ones. And I wanted to tone down the background so the bottles would stand out a little bit. So let's first duplicate this. And we're going to go into our filter. And we can do two different selections here. One, we're going to do a selecting of the bottles. And then the other, we're going to select the background and then make some adjustments from there. So rather than image treatment, we want to do area treatment because we're going to select the area that we want to work with. So we've got add to selection is highlighted. And I want it to find hard edges, which will help you with the masking a little bit. And I'm going to select the bottles. And I'm going to probably just do a couple for a demo because it took a while, and then I'll show you the finished product. But we'll go through the steps, but I'm just not going to select everyone. So I'm going to go and select these lighter colored ones. And I'm going to select all the way up to here. And you can see, you can get a pretty good selection there along the edges, and you can fine tune it if you need to. And then we're going to come in here. Whoops, that was my bad. We'll fix that and then go down. That's a bad mouse movement. And you can also, you can see right now, I've got like it's hard to see this circle sometimes. It's like a bigger circle and then a little detector size. I'm going to make the detector size bigger, which is like the center circle. It's even hard for me to see, so I'm sure it's very hard for you guys to see on Zoom. They need to make that a little bolder circle there.
Yeah. Sometimes some of these cursors are just too light.
Yeah, it's like you can kind of see it when you're moving it, when it's over the red highlight. I don't know if you can see it better there, but it's tough to see on certain colors too. So we're just going to select those two, and then let's select these guys down here. So I think, making the selections, it does a good job. It does take a little bit longer than you could probably do it with in Photoshop with like a select subject kind of a thing. But again, just so that you can see its capabilities. And I know my selection is not perfect. We'll fix that in a second. I'm just going to try and quickly. Oh, and the other thing is once you've drawn it and you move your cursor, see that little pink bucket? I can click that and it'll fill in the inside. So that does speed up that
that's
part
nice.
of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a nice little touch. I kind of forgot about that. So we'll do these bottom ones here and then we'll make our adjustment. So you don't have to color the whole thing if you just go around your edges. And then you can hit the paint bucket. And we'll do this last one. And I got some of the, it's hard to see the red mask and the red wires on this one. Makes it a little tricky. But so now I want to erase from the selection because I did go outside the lines quite a bit. So I'm just going to undo that part, and I probably am undoing too much, but like I said, more for the how-to than the actual good technique. I'll show you my finished one when we're done. Oh, and I forgot to add and finish that part. All right. It's right there. So that's our selection for the bottle. So now we want to make our adjustment. So I left the exposure. I brightened it just a teeny bit. Come on. Like a little lag time in there. A little bit of vibrance, just a hair. And, oh, not variation, vibrance. And there, and a little bit of clarity. And a little bit of sharpening. And the temperature, I changed just a little bit to there. So you can see how nice and sharp those have gotten with the clarity and the detail. So now I want to select some of the background, show you how that worked. So we're going to click on new area because we want to add another area to select. And we're going to go back to our add to selection, and I'll do it over in this same area. So now I want to select everything but the bottles. It would be nice if they had an inverse selection, but they don't.
Yeah.
That would definitely speed things up a bit.
Do they have a before and after so you can see what you started with and what you've gone to?
Yes, I believe so. Let me just finish this one section. If we do
Finish everything and then you can.
Yeah, what you can see your masking, masking here as well, just like a regular mask. That's a good question because I thought it did. Actually, let's finish this selection because I think it might be clicking, like pressing on the photo. I can't remember. But let me finish this last piece and then we'll see if we can do that. That's a good question. Let's fill that. Okay, so now we have some of the background selected here. And so I wanted to bring the exposure down because I want to darken up the background a little bit. I'm going to bring the brightness down. The clarity, I'm also going to soften it by bringing that down. So I'm kind of blurring the background a little bit as well. Bringing down the sharpness. And the temperature I brought up. Okay, so can we see, let's see. If we go back to, I want to get out of this image treatment. Let's see, select area. Let's just go to image.
So on the very top, you got little thumbnails. Is that sort of like a history?
Well, yeah, actually, yeah. Good point. Here you go. Here's your original. So that's how you can see it. So this was our original with our area treatments. And this is the one I just clicked on here. So we haven't really done anything there. So we can get rid of that. So yeah, so you can go here to see your before and after.
Okay.
So
I
there
kept
you
seeing
go.
them pop up, so
Yeah,
it looked like
yeah. I'm like, I know there's a way to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
So
me,
here's your
the
original.
screen
and then
image is
here's
a
the
little
adjusted.
small to see what it said underneath the thumbnail.
Yeah, this one says original image and this is area treatment, which is what we did to
okay.
those two areas. So you can see how we, darken down that background and brighten and sharpen the bottles. And I'm just gonna not save this one. Go ahead. Is there a question?
No, well, it's small, so I'm having a problem. Does that say original image F5?
It does, and I don't know
So
why.
if you hit F5, does that toggle back and forth?
That's a good question.
It does.
If you, you have to hold the F5.
Yeah.
Very good. I wasn't even paying attention to that. See, I keep learning new things all the time too. So if you hold the F5, you see the before, and when you let go, there's your after.
Thanks.
Good observation. Thank you. I like that. I knew there was a way to do it. I just couldn't remember how to do it. All right, so let's close that. I'm not going to save this one, and I'll open up the one I did the whole thing on. And there is our after. So that's my before with that very bright background. And there's the after where we toned it down and brought out more detail and on color in our bottles. So again, I don't know that I would do that necessarily in that program, but it's nice to know it's got the capabilities. And it would be good if you had like a smaller area that you want to make an adjustment like that too. And we're going to use a couple more of these selective adjustments as we go. Any other questions on that one? Alrighty. So next we're going to do a flower. So this is a raw file from my Canon camera. I'm just going to open it and we're going to do some other stuff first and then actually come back to the raw filter later. So we're just going to open this for now. And I wanted to get rid of this little leaf down here. So a trick that I sometimes use, sometimes the healing brush will work, which it probably will pretty well, like on here. And let's see if it'll do this. Sometimes when it has something else close by, yeah, it likes to do weird things. So if you have something like this at near the edge of an image and it's got like a mottled or solid color background, I like to use the smudge tool. And you can just drag the color right over that, like that, and fine tune that. It's a little trick I started doing way back when. And it's a great quick way, especially, it's not going to work if it's like way in the middle, but something like that near the edge is a great way to do that.
Yeah, that's a neat idea.
Yeah.
Never thought of that.
And then I'm going to grab my healing brush and just, there's a little bug there. We can get rid of him. And I just cleaned up some of the petals a little bit. This flower was kind of at its end here. There's a couple little pollen spots. You can, just clean that up like you normally would. some of the darker areas. That's good for now. Maybe get rid of that. Okay. So then I'm going to duplicate my layer. We're going to go into Smart Photo Editor. And here I'm going to do a couple of things. First, I want to darken down my background, which I did end up, after I did this project, I went back to the beginning and used the healing brush on some of these really bright stems back here. But for time, I'm not, again, I can show you the final image at the end. So here we're going to also do an area treatment. So we're going to add to our selection. We want to find that hard edge. We're going to make that bigger. And we're going to select our background. So we're going to go in here. And this, something like this where you've got really good contrast between your subject and your background, it does an even better job. I'm going to make that detector size smaller. It did a really good job when, of course, I was going to make a liar out of me when I did this the first time without going over a lot of the petal.
It always has to mess you up on a live demo.
Of course. It's like it worked really good before. Oops. Again, I'm working with a mouse. You could do, if you have a stylus, probably would make some of this easier, but I always just work with a mouse. We'll fix that in a minute. Let's go around this side first. Again, it's tough to see where that circle is. Sometimes they need to adjust that, but I guess it's a minor detail.
Yeah.
All right, and then we're going to fill the background. And I got to finish this side here. If you get too far away, then it doesn't find that edge. And then I want to erase this little part in the middle. There we go. Back to add and fill that. And we don't need that. So then you can, now we need to erase a little bit where it messed up, and we can zoom in 1-to-1 if needed. And really kind of check your edges. And then when I add back in here, make sure you get those little points there. And it does like a really good job with stuff like that. I need to come in a little bit closer here and then erase here. So again, it's probably not the quickest way of making a selection to do something, but it's nice to know we can do it. Whoops. Okay. No. Control Z does work, or you can hit undo if you mess it up. And I think let's see, erase a little bit here. And that'll do for what we're doing right now. All right, so that is our first selection of the background. And I want to go to the gallery that's on here, not the one up the effects gallery, but down here you have some options of what you want to do. And I use and there are multiple pages here. There's one called dark brown filter. Of course, I have to find it. Go back, I thought it was at the beginning. Guess not. Be nice if things were just like alphabetical.
Yeah.
That would be too easy, I guess. There it is, dark brown filter. So that was the one I used to darken down the background. And now we're going to go to area 2. And now we want to select our flower. So I'm going to add to the selection, find hard edge. So now again, we're just going to kind of do the same thing in reverse. Yep, not what I want to do. So it's hard to find this thing sometimes.
Yeah, especially when you're on full screen, it seems harder. When you're zoomed in, it shows up a little better.
Yeah. Yeah, but when you want to see everything to make it able to move around. And of course, it always takes longer when you're trying to hurry too.
Yeah. Well, I can't figure out how you can do this with a mouse. I could never do it with a mouse.
I just got used to it, I guess. I have a
Yeah.
tablet and I never use it.
Well, I use a trackball, which is like a mouse, but it just works. I don't have to move around on the desk. It stays in one spot. And I got used to that. I do have a trackpad too, or a stylus that I use, but it goes fairly quick. I mean, it makes
it
the
wasn't too
selection
bad.
nice.
It does a pretty good selection, yeah. And then take away from there. So that will do. So for this part, I'm going to use a different gallery preset. And this, I went with this low color, which I thought was really pretty. And then made the saturation like 4.3. About there. So that's the beginning. And now we're going to go back to our Photoshop. So File, Save and Return. Fit to screen. And now I'm going to make a few more tweaks. So I reopened the Camera Raw filter. Camera Raw. And lighten up my exposure a little bit of contrast, a little bit of vibrance. And then a little bit of texture and a little bit of clarity. Okay, and now I want to, let's say okay. And then I decided to add a texture over my background to darken that even a little more and give it a little more, I don't know, a little more interest, I guess. So I am going to select my flower, which will be much easier with the quick selection tool, I think. And do select subject. Here we go, much quicker. Yeah. And I'm going to add a layer mask Do I want to do that there? There we go. So I think I want that. I have that in my notes, but I don't think I want to do the mask yet. I want to add my, well, I do because I want to add the texture, but I want to inverse this because I want the texture to be on the background, but not on my flower. So I'm going to do a Control I and invert my mask. And actually I should put the mask on the texture, but that's okay. So I'm going to bring in my texture and I'm dragging from my second screen. And I'm going to make it cover this. And I'm going to bring this below here. So that was right, I guess. Control, let's turn that back. There we go. And I'm going to blend this with the background with multiply and bring down the opacity of it to about 25%. So this way, by masking the flower here, it the texture is only mixing with the background and not with the flower.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So that's actually, that's not quite right. Let me open my finished one. I think I messed that up a little bit. There we go. That's more like it. Yeah, I should be masking the texture too. There we go. I'll have to adjust that. So I wanted to darken that background even more. That was without the texture and that was with it. And you can see where I healed out those other stems that I mentioned. I did that on this layer. So yeah, that had this on it here. Yeah, I did a healing and smudging layer to get rid of those. So it was a more consistent background. There you go. Phew, we got there. Alrighty, so let's close those two. And how long do we have? Do we usually do an hour or a little bit over?
Yeah, usually about an hour.
Okay. So I will
Got about
pick
10
and
minutes or so.
Okay, let me do a couple more here. So let's see. I'm going to skip over to one of my favorite grungy shots. So I'll show you my original shot and then I'll show you how I cropped it. So this was the original cell phone shot. This was on Route 66. This was in Miami, Oklahoma. They spell it Miami, but they don't say Miami. It's Miami. We were corrected when we said that up there. And this is how I cropped the shot. So I've already done that. So we're going to go ahead and duplicate this and go in here. So this is when we get grungy with some of this rusty old stuff here. So we're going to go to our effects gallery. And this was under, this would be under style, and it was under grunge. And there was actually a couple that I liked in here. So I'm going to type them in and show you. I actually like that one too, but the first one is Old Distressed. Helps if you can spell, by Texan. I don't think that's the one. Old Distressed by. Okay, so that was one version. I don't think that's the one. That's Polaroid Black. Oh, wait. Let's try that again. It gets, like I said, a little touchy with the names because there's sometimes too many that are very similar. Distressed. That's what I have here, but that's not what's popping up. It's saying Polaroid Black and White Blur. All right, let me try
Yeah,
the
it's
other
under
one.
Old Distressed by Texture
Yeah, with his
Contributions.
various
So
contributions.
it's pulling that, yeah.
Let's go. Let's try just Old Distressed because there was a few. There we go. That's the one there, All Distressed by Texan. And that was one that I liked. So what I sometimes do when I want to try a couple of effects and not have to save them all, this is when I like having the plugin version and going back and forth to Photoshop. So what I would do is select this one, say okay, because I like it the way it is, do a file, save and return, and then turn that layer off, reduplicate this one, and go back in and try something else. So you can do several things and have them be all in the same file without having to save a bunch of different files. And then go back to the
Okay.
effects gallery. And the next one is old postcard. That one. And this was the one I liked even more. So I'm going to select that, say okay, file, save and return. So now when you come back here, you can see that one, or then, okay, well, I had this one. Which one do I like better? You know, then you can start kind of playing that way. And I like the darkness of that one. I did decide, again, having layers, our original is underneath, and I want to kind of brighten this a little. So I'm going to reduce the opacity of this one with the effect on it to about 88%. So it's lessening that effect a little bit, letting a little bit of that one show back through. And then if you wanted to do, say, a different border, we can, let's duplicate this one again, go back in. And we can go into the gallery. And they do have a border section, and I'm going to go to vintage. And there is a small gradient border. And I liked that one. And then I did bring the master fade. We'll say okay first. And then brought this back a little bit. I should have, with the previous one, gotten rid of that. They call that padding when it has just a white border, because then this one would have showed up a little bit better. So we'll just bring that one up because of, I didn't do that. And file, save and return. And then we can hide that layer. So we have this one at the 86% normal. And again, if I had gotten rid of that white border, the other one would have showed up a little bit better. And I'll show you my finished one. And there it is without that other border in there. So just kind of a little bit of a vignette, just darkening those edges, but it's like a square vignette. So I liked that version. Like I said, I love doing, you know, the different effects and things in here. I think is a really cool thing. And I'm going to show you one more that I thought was really neat. And I did do this, tried it a couple of ways. So I'm going to show you my original. And this is the Cadillac Ranch in Amarillo, Texas, also on Route 66. And there are 10 Cadillacs they buried nose down years ago, and they encourage you to spray paint them. And it's funny because like this one here is kind of hard to see in this angle because of the hot sun and so much paint on here. It's actually like sliding off of the top of some of these.
Wow.
It's really pretty interesting. So the first thing I decided to do, and I saw this after I had tried it first, was to get rid of that shadow over there. So we're going to try and just heal that and see what happens. Because we're going to do something cool with this one. Okay. So what we're going to do is create a triptych. It's a 5-panel triptych. And the first time I did it, I'm going to open the first one. And then I started cropping this differently. I didn't like the sky in here. And you can see I hadn't cloned that out first. This was like my first attempt. And I'll show you how I did this with the background. But I didn't like the blue sky there. So then I'm going to open up the next one. I cropped it down some. And I knew that sky would not show up in the triptych because of the tapering of the panels. So we're going to go to our filter, Anthropics, photo editor. We're going to go to our effects gallery. And we're going to go to borders and triptychs. And we used this one. And you can see that we don't have any sky up there, which I thought looked better. I didn't really like that. So we're going to, okay, file, save and return. So I decided I didn't really like the white background, and so I'd rather put a texture behind it. So what I did is, using the rectangular marquee tool, I'm going to make a selection of the panels, and I'm going to try and just come inside of it. I want to make sure I don't have any of the white there. Select that one, then press the Shift key so I can add to my selection and draw around the next one. And the reason I did this and not just remove the white, because there's like a shadow there. I tried doing that and that didn't really work because it picked up some of the white along the edges of the panel, and it had that little line up there showing. So we've got these selected. So then I'm going to do my Control J, and that will put just the selected areas on the separate layer. So we have just the panels. Then I'm going to bring in a texture behind it. So I bring that down. Control T, stretch that out. And then I thought that was too dark. So I'm going to add a white layer below here. I'm going to blank layer and foreground color white. I'm going to do an Alt backspace and fill that with white so I can lower the opacity of this layer to about there. And then the other thing I want to accent these, I want to do layer styles and put a stroke border and a drop shadow. So we want to go to our panel layer. And I'm going to do a stroke, and yep, it's remembered what I did when I was doing this project the other day. Haven't used it since. So I've got my stroke. I chose this like warm brown color, and I've got it centered. So like half of the stroke is on the image and half of it is outside of it. And then add a drop shadow, and it's just a soft little shadow. If you want it to be softer, you can adjust, the spreads, and the size will adjust how harsh the shadow is, and the distance is away from the image. And say, okay, so now it gives a little more of that 3D effect. And that was that. And then I tried one more version and really cropped in on it and got rid of the dirt as well. And I'll show you just the finished one. And I did a black background. So it's very abstract now because you can't even tell that they're cars anymore. But instead of the texture, I decided the black looked kind of cool back there, and just, a very abstract graffiti kind of a thing. And I think my favorite one is that one where we didn't have the sky. The little bit of brown didn't bother me, but you can still tell what the subject is.
Yeah.
I thought that's kind of one of those real fun type projects. And I'm going to show you just my finished ones real quick on another one. Close all. Now, it's another one I did. Actually, I didn't do them all in one, but I did 3 versions of an old car from Old Car City.
Oh, okay.
These I happen to save individually for some reason. So that was one version. And these were just using different effects in the grunge category. So that one was
right.
Bits and Bobs, I have it as the title of the file. And then we have Photo Art at a Click, kind of like a cartoony kind of a look. And then this one is more the original with just a gritty frame. So that's the original, and this one just added the edges. It didn't really affect the center. But then that one we have the cartoony look, and then the faded. And this is a black and white effect. You can see I've lowered the opacity at 100%. It's totally black and white. Again, this is why I like using layers. So then I can lower the opacity of that one and just bring a little bit of that color back through it. So you just got that little bit of the color on the car mostly, or truck. And there you have it. And this is what I love to do with the old stuff. It just calls out for, some extra grunge and kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there you go. So again, I will send you those couple of slides, and I'll send you this one as well. Let me put this up real quick.
Okay.
Um,
Great. Yeah.
My info, if you want to, I do a newsletter occasionally, once a month or so, depending on what's going on, and you can sign up for that at Meredith Images, or my blog I do twice a week on Sundays and Wednesdays, and on Sundays I give away 3 free textures every week. On Wednesday I call it Around the Web, and I always list articles and other freebies that I find online, of course with whatever's coming up for me and the company. And we do the virtual creative photography conference online twice a year, February and June. This is the first price increase I've had in 4 years since we started doing it, because the price of, Vimeo, of hosting it, and Zoom and website and all that stuff keeps going up. So we're still very reasonable, but you can, it's always been $49 with $39 early bird. You still can do an extra early bird, and what the extra early bird gets you is it will also get you an extra 30 days to watch the recording. So you would get 90 days instead of 60 days. And we'll be releasing the next conference info in early November after I get back from our big workshops. Okay. So it'd be 39, and then after that that will be through, I think it's through like, what I have it right over here. That will just be for November, and then December and January it'll be 49, and then after that 59 from 2/1 until registration closes on the 19th. And you also get speaker notes, a goodie bag. We have over $2,500 in door prizes, and then again the recordings you can watch for 60 days, 90 if you do the extra early bird. It's 13 hours of seminars over the 2 days with 8 different speakers. And then I do Barnes and Backroads workshops here in Tennessee. And for the spring, we're going to expand a little bit into Virginia. And I'm looking at doing a West Virginia, haunted West Virginia workshop.
Oh, wow.
And then we have our Route 66, which I think we're going to skip next year in the fall and do the following year, because 2026 is the 100th anniversary of Route 66. And there's going to be lots of cool things going on. And this year we also did a Southwest trip right after that one.
Sure. Okay.
And then you can check out my website for all my goodies.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Everybody definitely should do that.
Yeah.
I
just saw the question here. Does
it support Canon's latest RAW? Or
I would imagine so. They do update it pretty regularly. I mean, I have an older Canon, mine's a 70D. So I'm just using the mine are CR2 files. But if you want to, if you can like Dropbox me or one of the programs that will let you send a big file, I'll be happy to try it for you. And it's hazel@meredithimages.com. And you can also find it on my website. But a raw file is pretty big. You usually can't email it, but if you want to send it or email me, and I can even set you up a Dropbox file if you don't have it, and you can drop it in there. Okay, thanks, Chris.
Okay. And standalone, of course, it doesn't do layers, so you can keep adding to it if you use just the standalone and not working with Photoshop.
Yeah, what you would have to do is if you would have to do something, save it, and then bring that back in if you wanted to be able
Okay.
to do, then you could bring in the
Do-
different versions as layers.
Okay, yeah,
It's a lot more work, I think, to do that.
right,
Um,
right.
I think for the little bit of difference in the cost, for me, it's, I think, worth it to do the 49, but you could do the free trial too first and,
Yeah,
see if you really
could
like it.
see. I'm just
I'll throw
thinking
that.
of the people that may not be using Photoshop, that if they wanted to do
Yeah,
just
yeah,
work
you
with
could
Smart
definitely
Photo
do
Editor.
it. It just, you wouldn't have that ability to like change the opacity of layers and things that you can
Right.
do with Photoshop. But yeah,
Yeah.
it can be definitely used as a standalone. And that's how I used to do it, because like I said, when I first got it, they didn't have the plugin version. That was maybe, I want to guess it, 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah,
But I know
I
originally
think
it
that's
was
when I got
standalone
into
only.
it, was
Mhm.
6 or 7 years ago, and I don't think I still have it. I looked on this computer, I don't. Um,
You could probably go
but
into your account and still find it
yeah, if I
with
can
them.
even remember the account that I did it under. But yeah, and the other problem I ran into, I think you can only use it on one computer.
No, you can do it on 2.
You can do it on 2 now?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I have it on
me-
my laptop, I'm sure. I'm pretty sure I
Okay.
do. Let's take a quick look.
Because I thought some of the Anthropics I could only put on one computer, which wasn't a big deal, but
That's
slowed
not
me
what I
down a
want.
little bit because I was working on 2 different computers
Photo editor.
and trying to figure out.
Great. Let's see. Windows, and it is Windows or Mac. Let's see if it's in the FAQs real quick.
Yeah, that's always a fun thing to find when you're
I know.
trying to
Frustrating.
figure it out. Yeah, of course, they're not going to talk about that. Because I think I played with also their landscape one was an interesting program
Yeah, I have
that I
a
played
very,
with for a
very
short time.
old version of Portrait Pro, but I really don't do
Yeah.
portraits. So for me, I didn't really decide to keep updating
Yeah,
it
I had
because it
done
was just.
Landscape Pro for a while. It had something
Mhm.
in there that for a while I liked. Now I don't use it anymore, but well, I can always
Yeah,
check
I'm
on
not
that
sure. I'd have
again.
to, check on
Yeah,
it. It's not
they hide that
showing
so
out.
deep into this
Yeah,
stuff that
I know most software lets you do it on 2,
yeah,
but I could be
I th-
mistaken.
they were one that I maybe way back they did, and maybe they've changed it because
Mm,
yeah, almost everybody lets you do it on 2. And
yeah, especially because most people have a laptop and a
yeah, and
desktop.
that's what I had was a travel laptop and then a
Yeah,
desktop, and then I could only have it on one, so then I slowly
I
stopped
thought I
using it.
saw
But
here with the question on formats. Let's see.
yeah,
Most camera raw file types. Um, hmm,
if they
doesn't
don't, they
say.
probably would quick enough.
Yeah, I can't
Uh,
imagine that they wouldn't. Is that I've never really had an issue with it, and I regularly update, my computer software, and I've never had a problem with that.
yeah,
In fact, I just last fall rebuilt this computer, basically
oh
kind
boy.
of redid it again. Well, I didn't, my neighbor did. While we were on our trip last year, he installed everything for me. But yeah, so alrighty.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, if nothing else, they can check out the
Mr.
free
Chair,
trial and see if they like it
give it a shot and
and see if
play
it
around with
works.
it.
Yeah.
See if you like. Yeah, you can always try it that way, or like I said, if Chris, if you want to, get an image to me, I'd be happy to try it for you. And there you have it. I hope you guys all enjoyed it.
Well, thank
And
you.
good to see
Thanks
you all
for the
again.
presentation.
You're welcome.
It's
Always
always
great to be with
interesting
you
to learn
guys.
about new programs.
Yeah, I know. It's like I wish I had more time because there's some things I really like to try, and there's just not enough hours in the day.
Yep.
But this is definitely one that I do use a lot for the creative side of it.
Yeah, it looks like it has a lot of good creative stuff in it, and I
Yeah.
didn't realize how much it has if it's up to 8,000 some
Yeah.
settings.
I think
It's
it was like
taking a look
6,000 or
at.
so,
Yeah.
a few years ago, and now it keeps growing all the time. That's how I when I do my textures for the Sunday sampler, I'll take a texture that I've done or an image that I've taken, and I'll modify it in there to create other versions of it, which is a fun thing
Okay.
to do. So
Sure.
that's how I use it a lot, is for that. Which
It's
most
neat.
people probably
Yeah.
wouldn't do that, but it's works for what I do.
Yep. Well, great.
Alrighty.
Well,
Well, thanks everybody.
thank you.
And I'll send
Thank
you
you.
those slides you can distribute when
Yep.
you have time. All right.
I'll get it out to everybody once you get them to me. So
Okay. Have a
thanks
good
a lot,
night. Enjoy the
Hazel.
rest of your meeting.
Yep.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you. Yep. Bye. All right, Linnea, I will turn it over to you.
Sure, sounds good. I have to say today, as I was preparing for this, not really knowing what I was supposed to do, Jeff,
Yeah.
Jeff, do we have a vice president yet?
No, we don't.
Okay, well, somebody should join me because I have to say I had so much fun. I've been a member of this camera club since 2019, and I learned more today just by reading the website that Jeff has put together. And I have to say I got stuck on Hazel's all of her website information and her field trips. Everything is just absolutely incredible. Ellen's newsletter every month, man, that's just amazing. It's just full of information. I think this club is fantastic. And if anybody wants to join me on this journey, I just think it's great. But because I spent so much time reading today, I didn't prepare very well. So Jeff's going to help me out wherever I need to.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. So
Well, the one thing I saw on Jeff's website, which I just think is so cool, and I just want to elaborate because we can grow this club. And what I love is the purpose is that I've learned so much from the members, but it's an inclusive community fostering a photography passion. And what he states on there is this group provides a platform for individuals of any skill level, from novices to experts. We come together the second Tuesday of every month, exchange knowledge, ask questions, and grow in our craft. And that I know I definitely have done. And I know even on the website, Jeff has a place where if you know somebody who is somewhat interested, and I know I'm going to advertise this, they can just click on the website, send a message to Jeff, and he'll send them a link so that they can join us for at least, 2 sessions before they commit. So
Yeah.
I just really appreciate the work that you do, Jeff and Ellen. It's just incredible.
no problem.
And then we've
problem.
got 45 minutes. So I'll just kind of go over the brief notes that I took from everything today. And then we'll turn it over for show and tell and the slideshow and try to fit everything in. Some of the things that everybody did. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
have one question.
Yeah.
Did anybody try the link to pay the dues? Does it work is what I'm interested in.
Yes, I used it.
Nobody's.
Yep, worked for
Brian
me.
used it.
Yep, I
Oh,
used
I
that.
tried it. It works.
Okay. Because my first proof, it didn't work until, I can't remember, was that Pat who sent me the correct?
Yes, I sent you
Yeah,
the
I think
correct link.
Pat
Okay,
sent you the right link.
Yeah.
So
okay. Well, I think
You're
that,
talking the link in the newsletter at the bottom of page 4, right?
yeah, because I
Yes. Yep.
had to put it on a straight line because
Yep.
honest to God, I think separating it screwed me up a little bit too, so.
yeah,
That's
sometimes
it put a character in there.
yeah, it puts a hyphen in there or something that messes it up. So yeah, you always have to get it on one straight line.
Well, there are the ones that work on 2 lines, so I mean, it's just the luck of the draw, and
Yeah.
this was a bad one for me because I was just not getting, I was not getting things to work, and then it was, it was a hoot. Okay. All right, fine, I'm done.
Okay. And Ellen, I was just clicking on all the fun links. I will pay though, I promise. The one thing that I learned today, Ian, are you also, I did not know that we had a Menomonee Falls Camera Club UA group. Now, is that, or that one I know, but the other one, just the UA, that's open to anybody, correct?
So
Yeah,
you're talking
the
on
face-
Facebook?
Yeah, Facebook, I
Facebook.
apologize. So we actually have two groups, one for members only for us to collaborate, but the other one, anybody can join? Is that correct?
It's more like a page for the club. It's not really like a group.
Okay,
So like it's a page that like we could post reminders of meetings or just information about the group itself. And then we have the private group.
so the one that we're posting, other people can see it to find out more about us, but the private one, nobody else can see. Is that correct?
Right. The private one is just those who have joined the group. That's where everyone usually shares their pictures.
Okay,
And then the other one, I can't even remember. I don't
it's just UA. It's without the
think,
word
yeah.
group. Yeah,
Oh, well, there's the UA and then there's the group, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking at UA, UA is the page. And there, I think when was the last thing? We haven't posted anything there for a long time. The group photo.
every now and then I'll think about posting something for Wacko on there,
Yeah.
and otherwise, nobody really even knows about it or uses
I don't
it.
think
We
there's
should
any way.
use it.
I don't think there's any way for people to post on there either.
Oh,
Like it's just the group. Like it's just whoever runs that page, which happens to be I think Jeff and myself.
Yeah,
We can log in as that page and post stuff, but other people's can't necessarily post stuff to it. Does that make sense?
yes.
And
So
then
we
there's the
just stick with
group.
the group.
The group is private. So the only people who can
So-
see those are the people who've been admitted into the group, which I monitor and approve people when there's people who want to
So-
join.
The UA group is just like one of those static old-timey posters that people would paste up on a fence or something. Is that pretty
Basically.
much? Okay,
Okay, so I'm pulling it up. There's the Menomonee Falls. Hold on. Let me get them side by side so I get the names right because we're using. There's the Menomonee Falls Camera Club UA. That is just our page. So just think of that as like a
Okay,
website, basically. And
I'm
then
gonna
there's
clarify that
then
yeah,
then there's the Menomonee Falls Camera Club UA group, which is the group that is private that we all can share photos in
okay.
and chat and send post whatever you want in there. Usually it's pictures.
Ian, you need to give permission for people to be in the group.
Yes.
Yeah.
I monitor that, and then when people ask to join it, usually it's some weird group that's from like China, Taiwan, somewhere not US, and I'm like, yeah, they're not coming in. But when I see somebody and it's somebody that I know who's in the group, I let them in. If it's somebody I don't know in the group, I usually ask around, hey, does anybody know this person? Are they part of our group? If anybody on this call is not in that group and you want to be in that group on Facebook, go ahead and invite. And you can always send me a message on Messenger and be like, hey, you talked about the group in the meeting, blah, blah, blah. So that way, the reason we have the private group is if it was public, we would get spam constantly. You'd get all the duct cleaning people and like you don't want a public group.
No, I agree. Thank you for that clarification.
yeah. It looks like the regular one that the last time we posted was 2023, and that was me posting the 22-23 group shot. And so, yeah, we do have, which is sort of interesting, 100 and, what did I
17
see?
followers.
117 followers. I know Rhinelander Camera Club seems to pop up on here a lot. I don't know if that was on that one or Wacko's site actually, but yeah, we tend to use the group one more. I originally created just the regular one because at the time I didn't know about groups, or maybe groups wasn't even started yet. Because this was the first page that we had started.
We
But,
started to use the group around the pandemic time because everybody was kind of moving to groups and using
Yeah.
groups just as another way to share photos and share events
Yeah.
and that type of stuff.
And I don't remember when I started this. It was a long time ago.
The reality is the Menomonee Falls, like the Facebook page, really, we do have it, I hope. Yeah, it has a link to our website. And like that's where you're going to get the information about the club. You know, if you stumble upon this on Facebook, you're hopefully going to go to our website and get all the information you need there, as opposed to us trying to manage people's photos at both places.
Yeah. So when I think of it, I start to use it again, just promotes things that we have going, and probably wouldn't hurt for us to promote our speakers when we have a bigger speaker coming. But I should update the group shot, since that is an old group shot.
Or just, wait 4 more months.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Till we
Replace
get
with
the
the new
next
one.
group
Planning.
shot. Yeah, but
Well, thank you guys on that. Every month, most members do know that we do a President's Challenge for September. What I'd like for President's Challenge is just grab your camera and go for a walk. I know and shoot what you see. I know Ellen had in the newsletter, cool things. The Ren Fair is at the Old Falls Village in Menomonee Falls. You can walk there, or no, don't walk there. Park there and then walk through the fair, and you can take pictures. And then China Lights also starts in September as well. So anything that you just want to, I don't know, shoot, do so, and then both Ellen and myself 1 to 8 images and alongside 2100. And so we can put together the slideshow for the next meeting. The October field trip, and I'm mentioning that now because it's hopefully the very first weekend or first week, not weekend, in October. And Brian Jensen, who obviously or I'm assuming is a member of the Racine Astronomical Society, has offered to host us at the Modine Benstead Observatory. And in the newsletter too, he's got a link that shows a bit about the observatory, and it's really cool. It's only like 1.5 minutes long. So if you haven't taken a look there, field trip obviously is weather dependent, but we'll just kind of keep everybody posted as we go further with that. One other thing that's to encourage, and Dan Gorzik is he volunteered, okay, we'll put it that way, to post member photos at the rec center in Menomonee Falls where we used to have our meetings. So he has all the information in regards to the sizes. I know I volunteered sometime this year, Dan, you'll have to let me know when, but then we can at least get our name out at the rec center for people walking by. With
yeah,
that,
I believe it's up to a 16 by 20 print that
Yeah.
you can do in there, horizontally, vertically too, I believe. 11 by 14s work pretty nice. So yeah, we should
be
try
mounted.
to keep doing that one. Yeah, they need to be mounted on a foam board. So that,
I think Karen Grisandi said that she would do multiple months. Is she at tonight's meeting? Maybe not. But yeah, she left a note saying that I can do multiple months just to let her know. So maybe we contact Don or tell her to contact Don, that sort of thing. We can get going on it. Okay.
You know,
Yeah, we need people to supply prints.
Mhm.
We want to keep that display going, and one of these days the rec department may say, well, you're not using it, we're going to stop supporting it.
What is the size, did you say?
Between 11 by 14 and 16 by 20 works fine.
Okay.
And mounted on a foam board. So.
and Ellen, do you have enough volunteers for the year for show and tell?
Pretty much so, yeah.
Wow. Congratulations. You did well at the picnic.
I got a couple of them. I asked, since Mark Van Cleve is in Florida, right? And so he doesn't get to the picnic that often. So I contacted him personally,
Good.
but he said he would do it at the end, so he's going to be doing it also at one time. And I have a couple of alternates if somebody falls through. Technically I'm supposed to be next month, but we'll see. I've got some projects in the work right now, so I might need to call an alternate. I don't know, but I really should do it just for the experience again. It's been a couple of years. Yeah.
Ellen, I think I signed up, but I don't remember when. Could you just do a sheet with everybody when their months are?
Sure. Yeah, I see what you're saying, because I've said, I've got it for October and, through December. And you know what, Ian, you're in January again, but I think I'll find out if maybe Joe Higdon can do it, because it's not fair for you to do it twice, especially since you were coerced into doing it this month, so to speak.
Doesn't matter to me. I'm showing totally different photography today, so I'm not doing flowers or architecture today.
Okay. Got it. I'll worry about that tomorrow.
Yeah, and Ellen, if you send me a copy of who's doing it when, I usually post it on the website. I didn't get this meeting
Okay.
posted like I normally do because I just plain ran out of days. But normally I will have everything posted on the website, on our calendar section on the website. And
I have to
I'll
send
put-
you my outline for this year too,
Yeah.
but I was kind of waiting for vice president and for a speaker in February, no,
November.
November,
have it.
yeah.
Yeah, we have nobody for November yet. I'm still working on that.
Okay, so I was gonna wait until that was completed before I sent it out, but we can always add that later, I guess. So
Yeah.
I'll send it out probably tomorrow, then with the addendum that's some of these things are still pending. Okay.
Yep.
I think April would be a great candidate for vice president. Welcome to the club.
Kind of how I got nominated, April.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Pat, do you want to talk about financial, or not financials, but just dues this year?
Yes, as I think most of you know, this is September, so we will be collecting dues. Your dues help support the club and give us the speakers that we have, our pizza party and ice cream party that we have. And of course, we have to pay rent for those places we go to. And we have to pay for our Zoom meetings and our website and some other miscellaneous things. So your money goes to good use. It's all for our entertainment. You may notice that we did raise the price but that's in order to handle the upcoming year with the speakers that we've been getting. And I think everybody enjoys the speakers as I do. So I've already gotten 6 people tonight that's already sent in. You can pay either on the website with a credit card, or there's a PDF on there that you can download and put your number on, name and number on there, and fill out a check and send it to me. My address is on the form. That's about all I got to say.
Jeff, anything on PSA or Wacko?
Let's see. Well, Wacko, we have the fall competition is now open for people to enter. The 2 categories are nature is birds and open is portraits, and it's human portraits, not any other kind of portrait, so it needs to be human. Birds has to be out in the wild, not in a studio or that. Some of the stuff from Birds of Prey can be used, but no hand of man can be showing. The rules are on the Wacko website, which is wicameraclubs.org. And if we have a new video that's on the competition page that sort of explains the different category types and what you can and can't do, put together by Jim Karofsky. He did a really nice job on putting it together. He really has a good speaking voice. He changed it quite a bit, but comes through pretty well. So take a look at that. Wacko, you can just keep it in your mind that March 1st of 2025, this group's the first to hear that we're having Daryl Gouline. Wacko's had him as a speaker for our spring seminar before, but in person. He will be talking about landscape photography and travel photography. We'll have a lot more info on that as I get more information from him, but we just got him signed up for the spring seminar. PSA, oh, and I should...
Hey, Jeff,
Yeah,
are you guys doing print circuit?
yeah, that's right, the print circuit. That we need to get the prints in to Mary Dumont by the end of this month, right, Ken?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, October something, but
Yeah, right. Oh, okay. Yeah, Elizabeth, you know. Thank you.
Yep.
I don't have this stuff written down these days, but yeah, print circuit needs to be in by the end of this month. To Mary Dumont, that's also on the Wacko website under print circuit. The rules are there. You enter 1 color print, 1 mono print. They're either 8.5 by 8.5 square or anything up to an 8 by 12 print. You might as well do an 8.5 by 11. That's what I do, and that works out real nice on any printer. You need to put your name and club on the back. This group will be judging that print circuit in December at the Christmas party. PSA, I'm trying to remember, and I just did that newsletter. God, I think it's Mike Maisel.
They have their Tucson outing going on.
Yeah, the Tucson outing's going on. I think Mike Maisel on storm photography is the November speaker, if I remember right. You need to be a member of PSA. You can then join the Wisconsin chapter of PSA, which meets 4 times a year, November, January, March, and then they do a May outing, which they're going to, I think it's Dubuque. Iowa. Yeah.
It is Mike Musell on November 17th for
Okay.
PSA.
Great. Thanks, Ellen. I'm working too many newsletters and I can't keep them straight.
I only do one and I can't keep it straight.
Yeah, I'm doing two and I'm starting a third. Yeah, just call me nuts. I think that's it for those two groups. Yeah, far as I can think of. Oh, a digital forum. We have Mark. Starts with Batsutsa. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, but he's going to be talking about the art of still life photography. So that will be a nice one for a digital forum. That's the fourth Saturday of the month at 10 a.m. And then what did I get? I got October is Mike Motes is going to be speaking on, let's see, getting hard to remember. Yeah, I've got Mike Motes speaking on something on close-up photography. Oh, the 4 seasons of close-up photography. So, sort of an interesting take to close-up photography. I'm working on others. I either have Hazel Meredith is going to be talking about Nick filters. I should ask her if she can do it in November. Otherwise, she's going to do that sometime next year. And I'm working on a number of different speakers for Digital Forum. Now I think I'm done. That and crazy.
Thank you, Jeff. I guess unless there's any questions for Jeff, we can go into show and tell. And I guess as I facilitate this year for the show and tell members, I'll just always go alphabetical. So Ian, you'd be up if I do my alphabet correctly, H-I-J-K. Yeah, so Ian's before Ken.
Okay. All right, you should be seeing a pink flower.
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay. Hold on. That's not what I'm showing you tonight. So yeah, normally I share a lot of flowers and I share a lot of architecture photography. But I thought, especially given I just gave a show and tell a couple months ago on flower photography, of my flower photography, I figured I'd show you some other things that I've been shooting. And one of the more recent things, as recent as this weekend, is I have attended 3 Cars and Coffee Milwaukee meetups. They meet once a month, May through October. Well, twice a month, but I'll get to it. Uh, Down at the Milwaukee Marina. And they have a night event and then they have a day event the next day. And this weekend I went to both the night and the day. Last month I only went to the night. So I thought I'd show you some of the photos I took there. So one thing I like to do is I like to get there early to catch the cars as they arrive, right as they pull into the arena. Um, these were taken last month and it was nice because it was still bright enough that I could shoot at like f8 to get these starbursts of the lights, the headlights, but still fast enough that they weren't a total blur. I tried similar things this weekend. It was a lot harder because it was so much darker since a month had gone by. So just a whole variety of cars. And then what they do is they all pull into the marina. It's totally open to anybody. Anybody can park there. It's not like it's blocked off or anything. And they all just kind of park near each other. And I walk around and try to get different angles, different shots of the cars. Some of them light up like this one does. Some of them open up their hood to show off the engine. Here I was trying to get the car as well as the people kind of hanging out, very friendly. Can talk to people about cars. Um, and then another way I like to try them is as they're coming into the show. So I'm like running all over the place as I'm keeping an eye out for which cars are coming, which cars are going, um, which cars are surrounded by people, which cars are fully empty. Um, I'll probably start focusing more on trying to get some more of the people in it. This one I found funny just because of his shirt, need money for car parts. Um, and then like this Porsche was pulling out. So it's just been kind of neat to do something a little bit different. A lot of these are shot with my 85 millimeter f1.4, so I could shoot in the low light with a shallow depth of field. And then towards the end of the event, I went back kind of where I was shooting them coming in, but now I was getting them as they were leaving. And oh, backing up, you can see the difference here because now it's totally dark. So I had to shoot at the 1.4 so you don't get those starbursts. So you kind of see the difference there in the headlights. And then this was just on Sunday. Um, Here I was trying to get not only the cars, but also the city in the background, kind of give it some layers to it. You have a foreground, midground, distance back there. And then also I found like a different spot to stand, which was kind of nice because the road kind of does this S curve there. So I was catching all the cars as they were coming through, some of them, leaning a little bit more depending on how quick they were coming through or how tight their suspension was. As you can tell, quite a variety of different cars, which was kind of neat. A lot of times, if I go to like local car shows, I find they tend to be pretty similar cars. So we had all sorts of domestic and foreign cars, imports, and pretty neat. And then just challenging myself with different compositions. It's easy to shoot the car straight on over and over and over again, but trying to come up with unique shots. We're here capturing the person taking a picture in the background, the beautiful Maserati. Some color, some black and white. Again, just different angles, different shots. Old Ford patinaed. I also have some of a really cool VW Bug, but I haven't edited those yet. I haven't done Saturday nights yet. And then some detail shots. I even bust out my macro just to get some close-up shots sometimes. The hood of a car, the emblem. Or like this one I just blew out and more of like a high key type look. Change things up. So it's a fun way to like experiment, try things, get out of my element of what I've just typically been shooting all summer. Meet people, be outside, free, which has been nice. Here's more close-ups of the car emblems. And then the other thing I've started to shoot, is my daughter's soccer team. So they have had one game. So I only had photos from one soccer game. But this year, the last 2 years, I've been coaching. So this year I don't coach. So I actually can take pictures more regularly. So this was their first game. They were all super excited to do their cheer before the game. That's my daughter with the hat. Of her teammates ran past us. I also bought a new 70 to 180 millimeter f2, so that's come in handy for these events. There's my daughter. Physical play out there. They're 10, but they were actually playing a team a year older than them, so it was interesting to see them play some taller kids. And they get the punt this year. Previous year, the goalie couldn't punt, so she's excited to be able to do that. And this was them right after they scored the goal to tie the game up. So yeah, I have fun with that. And then lastly, just last 3 photos. These are literally of this morning. It was my daughter's first day of 5th grade. So we always go out to the behind our condo and take family photos back there. There's almost always one of her jumping up in the air some way, all excited. She was very excited. She seemed to have a good day. And then yeah, there she is. So there you go. Something different than what I usually usually shoot.
My gosh, those are incredible, Ian. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Ken, you're up.
While Ken's on mute, I will say I'll throw in the UA group, or I'll let you know, Jeff or Ellen, the next car meet updates in case anybody else is interested. Like I said, it's free. You just show up at the marina.
Well, mine is gonna be very short because I completely forgot about it. So I don't have anything.
You should have checked that
No
newsletter.
calls?
Yeah,
No-
there's a lot of
no
stuff in that newsletter.
waterfalls?
I'm glad I showed a bunch then, Ken.
Yeah, I'm glad you did too, Ian.
Ian, I really like the people shots of the kids.
Yeah.
The soccer
We don't
team.
see a lot of kid shots, in our club. Most of us a bit older, but just love the kid shots. Keep doing
And she's
more.
got 3 games this weekend, so I'm sure I'll shoot a whole bunch, and we'll see if it rains on Friday. That'll make it real interesting.
Nothing wrong with a little mud action.
Yeah, I shot a bunch. I did shoot some in the rain last year, and boy, my gear got real wet that day. I got real wet that day.
Ian, on a sporty note, I have 3 children that all played rugby. Some of my best shots, I showed my daughter, it's like, look at this. This is incredible. They're flying through the air. And then she tells me it's an illegal hit. I can't use it, Mom. You can't score to the team. It was such a great shot, though. I'm like, oh, okay, safety first. I get it.
Yeah, but we wouldn't know.
Well, no, my daughter would. Well, I mean, Ken, should we just go right to the $1 million and favorite picture slideshow?
Yes, we actually technically got 3 months of slideshows. So I can share the screen. So let's do that. Share. There should be for sound too. Yep. Sound. All right, here we go. Everyone sees the screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, here we go then. right, I guess that's it.
Clint, those were really cool, and I really love my favorite photos, and thank you for giving me credit to them, because those aren't mine.
Oh,
But I really liked them, so
well,
if nobody
good,
claimed them, I will take them.
good.
So who was the photographer of those?
I think it was me.
Oh,
Bernard, they're wonderful. I'm like going, cool. So thank you. Thank you for sharing your credit.
I'll have to redo that.
Oh.
Everybody, thank you. It is now 8:54. Is there any conversation, anything that you guys want to talk about, questions for like Jeff or Ken or Ellen? And
Well,
one thing though, I
you-
do want April to know that she could be vice president because all she has to do this year is order pizzas. It's
Yeah.
wonderful. Okay,
And
carry on, guys.
let's take a vote. And for April?
No.
I
Yeah.
I also just want to point out that the group photo, the group challenge for the end of the year is close-ups. And there's an article that Jeff put together on one of the pages in the newsletter to help get you started. So it's kind of a wide open category. Close-ups determined whether it's plant, animal, vegetable, mineral, whatever you decide that you want to share. So hopefully it's a very open category so that you can take your own interpretation of what's going on and expand on it. So then it's it'll be a reminder every month in the newsletter, last page usually. So yes, I think that's all I have right now then too.
Yeah, I was going to mention that next month we are going to do the image critique. So everybody can send me 2 or 3 images. Send them to my to the email that's in the newsletter, kpw1255@gmail. And so the October meeting will be an image critique. So please get me your images, and thank you, John, for sending yours right away. Appreciate that. Like we talked a little bit in the very beginning. Some people may not have heard. We don't have a speaker for November. I'm still working on a number of things, so we'll see what we get, or otherwise you may just get a program from me. Of course, the December we have the Christmas party at Holy Cross Church. Please show up a little before 6 o'clock so we can do the group shot. We need to be out of that's Brian, that's in the gym, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So we need to be out of there before 6:30, and we have to put chairs back and everything. So we want to be done by 6:15 at the latest. So if you're not there before a little before 6 to get lined up, you may not be in that shot. And then we also have to judge the Wisconsin print circuit at that meeting. And then January, we have our favorite slideshow by Jane Hurst. Everybody can send Jane. What do you want, Jane? 8 images? 7? I probably caught her off guard. So I think it's 7 or 8 images to Jane
8.
Hurst for
8. I am here. Just can't unmute myself fast enough.
Yep.
And,
So
and what is, I put down December 29th for the date, but you can change that.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay.
So, and the rest of the year we'll let you know as we keep going. We've got a number of good ones coming up, and we're working on a few other things yet for next year. So, but yeah, get me those images for the image critique so that we have that going for next month.
Well, if we
Other
can't
than
find
that-
a vice president for next year, Linnea is going to have to do 2 vice.
I just don't think
president.
so, Clint, but thank you for that nice suggestion.
You're welcome.
We will come up. I just haven't had time to call more people. I will. And there's always one way or another to get it worked out. So.
Hey, Jeff, do you got April's telephone number?
Yeah, we don't want to put that much pressure on a new person yet. We got to give them a year with us first. Otherwise, we scare them off.
Ordering a pizza, that's that complicated?
Well, I've got some ideas for next year's pizza party, so I'm working on that. So
I'm just wondering if April wants me to send her a newsletter from this month, just so she can get some more information from it, but I'll need her email address.
And telephone number?
I don't need to call her. This is a visual. I can send it to her. So
But Jeff needs to get the number.
Yeah.
Or it's she can get the newsletter off the website too.
Okay,
on there,
that's true too. And we don't want to scare her. We want her to come back
Yeah.
to the next meeting.
You never know. Ken Cena, I may give you a call. Maybe you could be president again. Need to run through some of the older presidents that we used to have. But but no. But if anybody wants to volunteer, we certainly won't turn down a volunteer. It's not a tough job to be vice president. It's basically ordering pizzas and watching what the president does so that they know the following year how to be a president. And most of that is all planned out, as Linnea saw. We get it all planned out pretty much in August, and it's pretty much all set. She just has to run a nice, easy meeting.
And then you
These
just say,
meetings
Jeff,
are
it's your turn.
so precise and well run that it's amazing. It just, it's so much in place that anybody can. No, not anybody can do it, because trust me, I know what hard work is. But nonetheless, we're very forgiving. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. But
Jeff,
no
did you
problem.
get my PSA stuff?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just
I
wanted to
didn't
make sure.
respond. I'm
No, it's okay.
a little nuts. But no, that's great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, with that, it is 9:02. Everybody have a great night. Thank you for your contributions. It was really good to see everybody.
Have a
Yeah,
good one.
Good night,
Good night,
guys.
guys.